bill to address domestic violence is under review, and changes could soon be made to give greater protection to victims.
I think it's significant to revise any piece of legislation, but in particular in recent times with the heinous crimes we've had in particular against our young women, we thought it was necessary to take another fresh look now that the community has been sensitized towards the need for it to be brought to the forefront, that we ought to put the legislative teeth into it. And I wanted to make a statement very early in the ministry that there is a zero tolerance towards domestic violence. Hence, we bring that in our first quarter of the administration.
The new proposed domestic violence bill protects a wide range of persons now. Currently, the law only protects married spouses, husband and wife, and persons who are living together, men and women living together as husband and wife, and the child of the family. This new law is offering expanded protection in that it covers those categories of persons as well as it covers parents, so you're covering the elderly for elderly abuse, physically and mentally handicapped persons are covered in it, anyone who is a member of the household, and as well as it's offering protection for persons who are in visiting relationships, which means you may or may not have had a child with that person and you don't live in the same house, but yet there's still a relationship there. One of the main differences of this new proposed bill is that it expands what domestic violence is. The current summary jurisdiction domestic violence law doesn't even have a definition for domestic violence, but it does tend to look at domestic violence as simply only looking at the physical aspect. Since there's no definition in the current law, this new proposed bill is expanding the definition to include physical violence as well as financial, emotional, and psychological and sexual violence. So it's again offering coverage and acknowledging that domestic violence is not just a physical aspect.
This new law will assist law enforcement officers to do their job more effectively because the offenses are clearly defined. So they will be able to understand exactly what is the offense once they respond to a report, and not only to bear in mind the physical abuse but also the emotional and the financial abuse that the law is now stating. Some would say it's a dirty little secret that is sometimes swept under the rug. And I believe it is so because people would want to avoid the embarrassment when they are being faced with domestic violence. So they wouldn't want to come out and say that, I've been abused in any way. So they would definitely try to sweep it under the rug. Also, the fear of the matter not being resolved and having to remain in the situation, on a constant basis. And also the fear of the offender.
I think that we really don't have a good grasp of what the statistics are really for domestic violence. I know that the RCIP does their job as far as tracking who calls them and everything like that, so there's statistics there, but unfortunately I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. We know that it takes a victim several times of being victimized before they even reach out to the police, so it may have been 7-8 times before they even pick up the phone to contact the police.
As a woman, I can relate to other women, and that I've been an attorney who dealt with domestic issues. As a woman, I've also been abused, so I'm able to see it from both sides of the mirror, as it were. But I do not think that's the driving force behind it. I think as a human being who has a caring heart, that I can relate from that perspective, because I believe if we just put it in the bottle of being a woman, it becomes a woman issue, when in fact we want to make it wider, we want to enlarge our boundaries, because what affects a woman, being the cornerstone of most families, affect the entire community and indeed the nation. Everybody needs to make the zero tolerance their business. Our work is still cut out and there's much work to be done, and I will forever be a strong advocate against domestic violence, having been a victim myself.
To read the entire bill, just log on to the government's website at www.gov.ky. Just click on Protection Against Domestic Violence.